Howdy. My name is Nonat, and today I'll be guiding you through creating a first level monk in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Monks have always stood out in other RPG systems, and Pathfinder is no different. In the world of Golarion, monks are still the other martial class. They technically have no inherent source of magic as we know it, yet they can perform inhuman mystic abilities through rigorous training and the use of their mysterious ki. In 2nd Edition, monks can be built a variety of ways. They can be full-on attackers, bulky tanks, swift backstabbers, and even highly mobile grapplers. This kind of diversity is thanks to the monks' wide variety of feats they can pick from. In fact, they have the highest number of feats available at first level. Let's get started and dive into just what's available to a first level monk. As a monk, many of the 6 ability scores are important. Strength and dexterity will define the combat style of the monk. If they plan to hit slow but powerfully, strength is very important, but a quick and nimble monk may prefer dexterity. On top of that, wisdom is used to empower the monk's ki spells, which I'll be going into later. As with most martial classes, you can't pick a bad ancestry when making a monk, though if you want to maximize your primary attributes, dwarf and halfling are your best bet due to their inherent ability boosts to wisdom. Some useful backgrounds for a monk include the acrobat, guard, herbalist, or martial disciple. Alongside their ability boosts from their ancestry and background, all monks gain a boost to either their strength or dexterity, as well as 4 free boosts of their choice. Listed on page 155 of the core rulebook, monks begin with these proficiencies, and I'm just going to try and forget that monks begin with only trained proficiency in unarmed strikes, while fighters begin with expert. Yes, I'm still mad. At first level, all monks gain access to the unique Flourish action, Flurry of Blows. Flurry of Blows allows the user to take 2 strikes by spending only 1 action. Now, while it is a bit unclear in the rules and the source of great debate online, the 2 strikes made with Flurry of Blows still count as 2 separate attacks. As such, the first strike of the flurry will still incur a multiple attack penalty on the second strike. So a standard unarmed attack with Flurry of Blows will be 1 strike at no penalty and a second strike at a -4, since unarmed strikes have the Agile trait. Since it has the Flourish trait, the monk may only use Flurry of Blows once per turn. All monks also begin with the Powerful Fist feature. This increases the damage dice on an unarmed strike from 1d4 to 1d6. Now, normally when a character attempts to inflict lethal damage using an unarmed attack, they take a -2 penalty on the attack roll. Thanks to the Powerful Fist feature, monks completely ignore this penalty. Finally, monks may take 1 first-level feat from the following list. I'm going to be dividing these feats into 3 categories: stance feats, ki feats, and the other one. Starting off, all stance feats function the same way fundamentally. They are all a single action that allows the monk to assume a trained combat stance. These stances all give the monk access to new, powerful unarmed strikes and often provide other bonuses as well. A stance lasts until combat ends, until the monk switches to a new stance, or until the monk is knocked unconscious. A stance action can only be taken once per turn, so a monk cannot enter one stance and immediately change to a new one on the same turn. The first stance feat is Crane Stance. The monk gains access to Crane Wing unarmed strikes, but these function exactly like a normal unarmed strike, dealing 1d6 damage with the same traits. While in Crane Stance, the monk gains a +1 circumstance bonus to armor class, reduces the DC for long and high jump actions by 5, and increases the distance covered by these jumps as well. Dragon Stance increases the monk's unarmed strike damage to 1d10. While these strikes lose the Agile and Finesse traits, they gain the Backswing trait. This means that if a monk misses with their Dragon Stance unarmed strike, their following strike gains a +1 bonus to hit. Mountain Stance increases the damage of unarmed strikes to 1d8, and also removes the Agile and Finesse traits. In return, it gains the Forceful trait, gaining a bonus to damage on each subsequent attack in a turn after the first. In addition to this, the Mountain Stance grants the monk a +4 bonus to armor class and a +2 bonus against being shoved or tripped. However, when in this stance, the monk is not able to apply their dexterity modifier to their armor class, and their movement speed is reduced by 5 feet. Tiger Stance causes the monk's unarmed strikes to deal 1d8 slashing damage, and upon landing a critical hit, inflict 1d4 persistent bleed damage to the target. The monk is also able to move 10 feet using the step action instead of the usual 5 feet. The final stance feat is Wolf Stance. This causes unarmed strikes to deal 1d8 piercing damage and gain the Backstabber trait. This causes attacks to deal 1 bonus precision damage to flat-footed creatures. Moving on to the key feats. These two feats both grant the monk a pool of 1 focus point, and, like other focus classes, this point is expended to cast focus spells. This pool of points can be recovered by meditating for 10 minutes. Taking either of these feats also grants the monk trained proficiency in either divine or occult spell attacks and DCs. The monk chooses, and the ability score used for these is always wisdom. The first key feat, Key Rush, grants the focus spell of the same name. By spending a focus point and 1 action, the monk casts this spell and is able to take 2 move actions. The actions can either be a normal stride or a step. The monk also becomes concealed until the start of their next turn. If you aren't sure what concealed means, check out the video in the corner where I cover all of the basic conditions in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. The other key feat available at first level is Key Strike. By spending a focus point and 1 action, the monk may make a strike or flurry of blows. The strike, or strikes, gain a +1 bonus to attack rolls and deal an additional 1d6 bonus damage. This bonus damage can be force, negative, or positive damage. The monk may also choose lawful damage, but this can only be picked if they have a lawful alignment. And the other feat that didn't fit into either of the categories is Monastic Weaponry. This feat grants trained proficiency in all simple and martial weapons with the Monk trait. And when the monk's proficiency with unarmed strikes increases, their proficiency with all monk weapons increases as well. In addition, any feat or ability that requires an unarmed strike can now be used with any monk weapon. This allows the monk, for example, to make a flurry of blows using the bow staff or the temple sword. There are some exceptions though, such as Crane and Mountain Stance, which strictly state the monk can only use that stance's specific unarmed attacks. And that's about it. Aside from the wide variety of feat choices, monks are fairly simple. I didn't have anywhere in the video I could fit this, but I still wanted to mention it. Funnily enough, in the rulebook I'm using, it is not stated anywhere that monks use wisdom for their key spells. I assumed it would be wisdom, but after much research I learned that yes, Paizo totally slipped up and forgot to add that line in anywhere. They've added it in the recent errata though, so no harm done. While I still don't think they fit the fantasy setting all that well, I do think that Paizo has done some very cool stuff with the monk. All the different stances are so interesting, and I hope to use them someday. But that's enough rambling, I have an outro to do. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing and ring the bell to know exactly when the next video goes live. I'd love to give a huge shout out to my patrons, Trevor, aka The Conqueror, Quidthulu, Troy Hughes, Paul Rand, as well as the rest of my crazy patrons. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all of your support. In the description, you can find links to my Patreon, as well as our community Discord that everyone is more than welcome to join. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and until next time, no nat ones.